It's one of the biggest, most persistent mysteries in modern society. How is it possible that two people living in the very same country can have lives that are decades apart in length? We're not talking a year or two here. We're talking about a massive gap. So how do you even begin to crack a case this big?
Let's start with this number, 15 years. That is the staggering difference in life expectancy between the richest and the poorest men in America. A full decade and a half of life, seemingly decided by how much is in your bank account.
And for women, it's not much better. We're talking about a 10-year gap, a full decade. This disparity is just immense, and it's not just a social issue. It costs the United States something like $300 billion every single year.
So this is the big question, right? Why? It's obviously not just one thing. It's this incredibly complex, tangled web of social factors, economics, healthcare, all of it. How on earth could you begin to pull apart a knot that big to find the real reasons?
Well, to solve a mystery this complex, researchers realized they couldn't just use the old methods. They needed a new kind of detective, one that could see patterns and connections that no human ever could. They needed an advanced, explainable AI.
So what do we mean by explainable AI? You can think of it like a superpowered data analyst. It can dig through millions, and I mean millions of data points to find these hidden patterns. But, and this is the really important part, it doesn't just spit out an answer. It actually shows you its work. It explains why certain things are connected, which is the key.
And you have to appreciate the sheer scale of the data this AI was looking at. I mean, it was analyzing literally everything across U.S. counties. Mortality rates, the quality of healthcare, behaviors like smoking or exercise, education, demographics, income, poverty, social bonds, unemployment. I mean, you name it, it was in the mix.
And this right here really shows you the challenge. When you've got dozens of variables for thousands of different places, the data just becomes this messy, three-dimensional cloud of dots. You can see it on the right. For a human being trying to find a clear pattern in that, it's pretty much impossible.
But this is where the AI is just brilliant. It uses this powerful technique to look at that messy cloud from every single angle imaginable, until it finds the one perfect view. And look at that. Once it finds that angle, the hidden structure just snaps into focus. All of a sudden, these clear groups and relationships just pop out from all that noise.
So, the AI did its work. It looked at all the evidence. What did our detective actually find? Well, some of the clues were pretty surprising, pointing to things that we don't always think about. Let's take a look at the first big one.
Now, you'd think things like income or how many hospitals are nearby would be the only things that matter, but the AI pointed to something else, something about the social fabric of a community itself. What about social diversity? Does that play a role?
It turns out it does. The AI found this really stunning connection, and it boiled down to a single, powerful number, 38%.
So what does that mean? Well, it means that social diversity seems to act as this powerful protective factor. In communities that are more diverse, that big 15-year gap we talked about is 38% less likely to even exist. The analysis suggests it's because diversity often links up with higher income, especially for women, and that in turn boosts healthcare outcomes for everyone in the community.
Okay, on to the next clue. We all know that, going to the doctor is important. But the AI uncovered a really critical distinction here. It's not just about being able to see a doctor, it's about the quality of the care you get, especially when it comes to prevention.
And the impact here, it was even more dramatic. It came down to this one incredible number, 43%.
This is a total game changer. High-quality primary care, we're talking regular checkups, important screenings like annual lipid tests for people with diabetes, it has a massive effect. For women in places with high-quality care, the chance of living past 85 years old shoots up by a staggering 43%. For men, it's a 30% jump. This proves it's not just about access to a clinic, it's about the quality of the care inside.
Now, of course, the AI also confirmed a lot of the things we already kind of suspected. It found that yes, low smoking rates, regular exercise, better education, and even things like family stability are all major factors in how long you live. And this was actually really important because it showed the model was working. It was catching the obvious stuff along with all the hidden connections.
So we have all these clues, right? Diversity, quality of care, personal choices. But maybe the AI's most powerful insight was showing how none of these things exist on their own. They're all deeply, deeply connected.
This quote from the research paper really just says it all. You can't just fix one piece of the puzzle. Longevity isn't about some single magic bullet. It's the result of an entire system of influences all working together, or against each other.
And really, that's the final verdict from our AI detective. Social things like diversity, clinical things like the quality of care, and behavioral things like exercise. They aren't separate problems that you can solve one by one. They're all part of one big, complex, interwoven system that produces these outcomes.
So, understanding the problem is a huge first step. But the real point of all this research wasn't just to understand it. It was to move from insight to action. How can we use this new knowledge to actually start closing that 15-year gap?
Because, let's be honest, this was never just about getting a paper published in a journal. The real motivation here was to turn these incredible findings into a practical tool, something that policymakers and health officials can actually use to make smarter decisions that save lives.
And that's exactly what they did. The model, the whole system, has been released as an open source tool. That means anyone, a city mayor, a public health director, even just a curious citizen can get in there, explore the data for their own community, and actually model what might happen if they tried a new policy. It's about putting the power of this data right into the hands of people who can make a real difference.
And that really leaves us with one last huge thought. We've seen how this kind of AI can shine a light on something as complicated as health inequality. But just take a second and imagine what other massive challenges, we're talking about crime, economic mobility, even climate change, what could we finally start to solve if we had a way to see all the hidden connections we've been missing all this time?